or welcome back to Courageously Living. I am Tara, and you are watching Wednesdays Live. This is September 3rd, and I've got a couple of topics that I want to talk to you about tonight. What's really interesting is I kind of had a different plan, and as I got going, other things came up. My pup would like to say hello as she's squeaking in the toy. She definitely likes to be acknowledged on these lives, or sometimes when I'm recording videos, she just wants to say hi, and a lot of times that is by squeaking a toy. All right, welcome. How is everyone doing tonight? Let me know. Welcome. So I want to touch a little bit today or tonight on the Pisces full lunar eclipse that is happening this week. But because there's so much astrology happening, we can't talk about the full moon without talking about Saturn and Neptune going back into Pisces. And I don't know if you can hear the squeak or not. Yeah. All right. So we have a full moon happening this week. And I just realized I actually don't have the date of that. I believe it's the 7th though. So it is coming up very quickly for us. And so we get eclipses a couple of times a year. They're something, that just normally happens. What is really important with this one though is how much change this eclipse is potentially bringing to your personal life and to the collective. Pisces is traditionally ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter wants more, wants it bigger, wants to add glitter. And it really doesn't care what it's adding glitter to. If it's a pile of dung, glitter gets added to it, and it's like, see, now it's pretty. It's got glitter to it. But in our lives, if we are coming from a place of fear, Jupiter is saying, sure, I'll give you more fear. And if we're coming from a place of sovereignty, Jupiter is saying, sure, I'll give you more feeling of sovereignty. So it really doesn't care. Hello and welcome. Where are you all from? Let me know in the comments, in the chat. But the modern ruler then of Pisces is Neptune. And Neptune is all about either showing you where the illusions are, or conversely, it is actually showing you places that you might be kind of telling yourself lies, that you're not good enough for things. Hello, welcome. Say where you're from as more people are kind of coming on. Welcome. Just starting to kind of chat a little bit about the Pisces lunar eclipse that is happening this week, and looking kind of at the rulers of Pisces, with being Jupiter and Neptune. And by themselves, that can be a really powerful eclipse. But what is also happening is we have Saturn and Neptune and a whole bunch of other stuff from astrology, but Saturn and Neptune actually moving back into Pisces for this period of time. From New York. Excellent. So you guys are just an hour ahead of us. So I am Central Time. So welcome, welcome. And when we have kind of big astro events, and I'm not an astrologer, I just am following it enough to know that it is really impacting our day-to-day life. And so what happens is when you have event after event after event after event after event on top of each other in an astrological sense, it's going to show up really big, in your personal life. And it's also going to show up really big in the collective. And that could be anything from losing your job, or having a partner decide, you know what, I'm done, I want out of this relationship. Or there's obviously a lot going on politically. I do have both kind of ends of the spectrum on my channel, so please be respectful in any comments. But there is a lot going on right now. And what is happening then is it's kind of bubbling to the surface. So we're going to see potentially this month things that we might have wanted to keep hidden, that even from ourselves, that all of a sudden are now up at the surface, and now we have to deal with them. It might be such a thing that we were telling ourselves a lie that this relationship is working, that it's doing fine, it's just kind of what everybody does. And all of a sudden you start to see something in a new light, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. This relationship is not the best for me, is not in my highest and best interest. And when that happens, that can be really jarring. And so that is a lot of what this month is actually going to be about. Is we thought we're on kind of one course, and all of a sudden we get flipped into a new, different path that we hadn't necessarily anticipated. And again, this is going to be from our personal life, and also in your communities, at like a state level, at country level. And this isn't just the US, this is happening all around the world. And I do not speak French. And then obviously the pup wants to say hi. So she's saying hi. But when all of this stuff happens and you feel kind of like your life got flipped upside down, which is what this month, it really has some potential to do, is it's really important to find ways to kind of ground yourself. And we can talk a lot about, ground yourself, but if you don't have any reference point, that can actually be harder for you to understand how to ground. So a couple of really easy ways to do is get some stones. Technically, any stone is going to connect you more to the earth, and it's going to help you feel more grounded. This is a hematite, so it is specifically the healing properties of it is to help kind of bring all the chaos that you're experiencing in your life and kind of bring you down, bring you centered into a more calm manner. The other stone that I have is a snowflake obsidian, also a really, really good stone to kind of get you centered. But if you don't have stones, you can take a walk in nature, you can touch a tree, you can smell a flower. Even just being aware of your feet hitting the pavement as you walk, or the dirt as if you're hiking somewhere. It's a really good way to kind of get you back to your center, back to your authentic being, as everything is kind of being flipped upside down for you. And so the stones, just kind of a fun fact, I was not planning to talk about stones or healing crystals or anything tonight. And I ended up deciding to wear the fluorite necklace. It's a rainbow fluorite. And I thought I would look it up for us right before I got on the live. And I will say that this book, if you are interested at all in stones or crystals or anything, Love is in the Earth by Melody is one of my most referenced books on stones. It's not necessarily pretty. It is truly just a reference book. But I thought it was really interesting for fluorite. It is an astrology sign of Pisces. And remember, we're going into this Pisces lunar eclipse later this week. But it helps to impart an impartial or unbiased detached reasoning in situations where it would be beneficial to both view and act upon information objectively, which is very, very much of where we are right now. In our personal lives, we have to kind of reassess things where they are and kind of view them with discernment. And then the next piece is it's a stone known as discernment. It helps bring in intuition. We're going to be bombarded so much with information this month that it's going to be really important for you to discern what information is true, what information is just a blatant lie, what information is being fed to you either unconsciously manipulatively or consciously manipulatively. And then we've got AI on top of that. So it really is a month where you're going to want to start to create more feelings of discernment in your life, feeling what is real in your heart. That is going to help you. When you get that gut feeling, when you get that feeling from the heart that this is true, listen to that. That is really important. And the fluorite is also helping us understand the balances of relationships. It provides stabilizing energy, helping relationships, groups, and individuals to flourish in the realm of what is beneficial to all. Now, if you followed me for a while, you know that I do a lot of work with intention settings and really looking at how to kind of shift your mindset. And one of the things that I always end my intentions with is for the betterment of all. No matter what, it is the betterment of all. And this is the other piece that I thought was really, really important with the fluorite. It says the energy of fluorite can inspire the universal energies to activate the nourishing energies of the body. With this month being so chaotic, so in upheaval, what you can do to nourish yourself and allow yourself to get nourished is a big deal. And maybe for you, it is cooking a favorite meal. Maybe it's, taking a bath or taking a walk in nature and letting nature kind of nourish you. Whatever it is, it's really, really important that you honor your, I rarely use the word need because that has a whole other kind of connotation and stuff with it, but it really is, what do you need this month? But again, this reference book is Love is in the Earth. Highly, highly recommend it. The bookmark that I just happened to use for the fluorite was from a deck from Notes from the Universe on Love and Connection. And it is Prepare to be Astounded. As upheaval as this month is looking like it is going to be, we also can be astounded with the information coming, the changes in your own personal life. Now, that does not necessarily mean they're going to be easy. Most likely they're actually going to be a little bit more chaotic. But if we can look at the chaos changes as long-term benefit for us, we can actually see progress. We can understand that we have to get through it so that we can see the other side. But again, that can actually be really chaotic, really messy, really hard. And this month does not look like it is shaping up to be just kind of a chill month. It really does look like it is shaping up to be a month that's going to kind of redefine who we are as individuals. It's looking at who are we when we authentically step up. When we genuinely step into our own power, our own sovereignty, it's going to upset people that were in our lives that were expecting us to react in a certain way. And all of a sudden, you're not reacting in that way. And they're like, well, but wait, if I kept pushing on you, you would react in a certain way. And all of a sudden this month you're going, oh, I see this. You're pushing this is not necessarily for my benefit. It's to make you feel better, to make you feel more comfortable. That changes the dynamic. And when we do that, especially when we do that with long-term relationships, with family relationships, with long-term friendships, long-term partnerships or marriages, people don't necessarily want to change, and they certainly don't want you to change if they're not ready to change themselves. And so you might feel a lot of pushback this month from relationships that you're saying, you know what, these aren't working for me anymore. I'm going to actively change the way that I am handling this relationship. Now, I will tell you from personal experience, I am going through this right now. It is not easy. It's certainly not fun. But I also see how restrictive some of those relationships were, and stepping into who I am becoming. And who I am becoming is not the same person that was willing and complicit to the relationship the way it was. And we're going to see more of that as the month moves through. And again, it can show up for you in very different ways. It might be a work relationship. It might be a friendship. It might be family. It just might be a work situation or a career. You're all of a sudden like, I'm over this. I'm not feeling this path anymore. And what I will say to you is, yes, based on astrology, based on my own readings, my intuition, listening to other readers, other psychics, other astrologers, that is what is supposed to be happening this month. It is supposed to have us question what in our life has been ready to end and what is ready to come in. And what I kind of mentioned at the beginning is with the Saturn, or with the Pisces lunar eclipse, we also have to talk about the Saturn and Neptune moving back into Pisces. The last time, like before, like this is our final cycle of Saturn just kind of moving back into Pisces from this like 2.5 year period that it has been in. It has not been at this ending of Pisces, though, and going into Aries again for the last 30 years. This is the end of a 30-year cycle. There is a lot of changes that have happened in 30 years for you personally and us collectively. And it's up to you to really decide, what are you going to do as we step into the new? So Saturn and Neptune will both go back into Aries in early 2026. And at that point, they truly do start a brand new 30-year cycle, going all the way through the zodiac again. Well, 30 years for Saturn. Neptune is actually going to take longer than that. But it's a point that we don't get very often. And Aries is about our identity to self. Wherever it is in your chart, it's influenced also then by the house, but it is at its core about our identity, about our authenticity. And we get to choose how we step into that or not. We get to choose when we're trying to end a relationship and they all of a sudden kind of come back at us, even just with really sweet messages and love messages and saying, hey, like, I was thinking about you, and look at this, isn't this great for you? And you're like, wait a minute, I see through this now. This has nothing to do about you wanting the best for me. This has to do with the fact that you're uncomfortable. I am changing. I am stepping into a different place in my life. And that is where your true authenticity starts to shine through. And that's what you're seeing with kind of the breakdown of these old structures, of these old relationships, that during this time, they're like, wait, we're not moving. We're going to hold on. We're going to hold on really, really tight. And you get the choice. Are you going to hold on to the old structure that is starting to crumble, or the old relationship that is no longer serving you? And it might have. That's the thing. It might have served you well. And it may no longer be serving you. And that's okay to acknowledge that you are ready to move on from that relationship. You're ready to move on from this career or this job that you've had for a really long time. And maybe it wasn't necessarily your choice. Maybe the other person ended the relationship. Maybe your job was eliminated. There's a lot of that going around too. Or it could be a combination of multiple things. It doesn't just have to be one thing ending at this point. And actually, with everything going on, I'm going to say the majority of us are having more than one thing end at this time. That said, it's also a great time to begin to kind of imagine what you do want to be brought in. If everything's collapsing, it gives us the potential to create something different. If you're leaving a marriage or you're ending a career, you get the chance to think about what you want to create, even if you don't know exactly what that is. One of the cards that because I always pull cards before I start, and it's the shaman and healing. And maybe that is where you are right now, is when things are starting to fall apart in your life, in the collective. We all need that time and space to do some healing. And there's, again, I'm going back to stones. Again, I have no idea why we're talking so much about stones in this live, but we are. But there's specific stones, and I don't have them necessarily with me or off the top of my head, but that help facilitate emotional healing. And there is nature helps facilitate that emotional healing, that emotional release. Sad movies that make you cry can actually help release all that pent up emotion. Because we've been told time and time again that we're really not allowed to show our emotions. We're only allowed to be fine, to say it's no big deal. And in reality, all of our emotions serve a purpose, even anger. And we're, especially women, we're told we're not allowed to be angry. Oh, don't, you're making too much of a big deal of this. You're blowing this out of proportion. Or if we are angry, then we become the bitch for being angry. And what anger is telling us is there's something that either got hurt within ourselves, or that we're not connecting to a emotion that is underlining that anger, that wants to be dealt with, that wants to be seen. And so anger can be good. It's just, are you allowing yourself to feel angry and then moving through it instead of getting stuck in the anger or getting stuck in a fear position? That's what is another thing that is being asked of us at this time of, so what happens when we do feel anger? What happens when we do feel fear? Are we being courageous to really look to see what is under the surface of that? Are we looking at our true emotions? Are we looking at it from our heart and from being authentic? And not to say we're judging ourselves or that it's, the wrong emotion. No, it's about saying, I have the courage to look at all of these emotions that are coming up for me. And especially with the modern ruler of Pisces with Neptune, it wants all of those emotions to bubble up to the surface so that we can work to do some healing of ourselves, to do some emotional release of whatever is coming up. Because even if, a marriage is ending or a job is ending that you actually want to happen, there's still emotions tied to it. There's still things that you enjoyed about the relationship. There's still things you really didn't like about the relationship or the job. Feel them all. If you journal. One of the prompts that you can use right now is, what am I saying goodbye to? What am I saying goodbye to? And I'm gonna guess that there's a lot of stuff that we are saying goodbye to in our lives. Some we know and we're acknowledging it, and some might kind of all of a sudden come from left field and we're like, wait, where did this end from? But if we really dig deep, we know that it was slowly starting to build, slowly starting to end, even if we couldn't see it. And it might have been years ago that it started to actually slowly not work for us in a positive manner anymore, or in a manner that benefited us. And we just chose unconsciously, a lot of times, not to see it. And I think, especially from my own experience right now, I would say that it's really hard for me not to be self-critical of myself of, well, why didn't I see that before? All the signs are there. Why didn't I see it? And I wasn't ready to see it. And you probably weren't ready to see whatever was going on in your life either. And now you are. Now you are starting to be willing to re-examine things, to re-look at things. And that's a hard piece to go through. And at the same time, that is what's going to give you your own authenticity. That's what's going to connect you to your heart. Hello and welcome. And when you can truly connect to your own heart, that's when you actually get to start living truly from a more place of joy and love and laughter and kindness. But the road to get there is not always easy. And in some ways can be really, really hard. Now, if you watch my videos, you know that I am very much a positive person. I focus on the kind of the higher vibration a lot, but I don't ignore the lower vibration stuff, the stuff that we still have to get through. And for me to actually be in the higher vibration, I had to look at the stuff that wasn't working in my life. And with this Pisces eclipse and all of the other astrology that is going on this month, that is what everyone is being asked to do. We are being asked to, look at it in our own lives, and we're being asked to look at it in the collective. Now, sometimes it kind of feels like, well, wait, it's like too much. And it is in some ways. And it's also kind of the time period that we all energetically or spiritually said, yes, we're willing to come into this and have this collective experience and have this individual experience all at the same time for long-term betterment of all. Even though right now going through it, we're like, wait, why did we sign up for this? Like, who raised our hands? And again, you always have free will and choice to decide what you're going to look at, to decide if you're reevaluating what's working in your life or not. Always free will. But let me ask you this. If you're hiding from it, are you happy here? Or are you convincing yourself here that you're happy? Or that things are going okay? And that's sometimes a really hard self-reflection piece. Doesn't mean that, don't give it a good or bad. It just is. And allow yourself the grace to move through it. And one of my favorite cards is be gentle with yourself. Are you allowing yourself that grace, that empathy and compassion that you would give to a best friend that is dealing with something really highly charged? We're not taught how to show ourselves compassion. In fact, the opposite. We are taught how to be self-critical. We are taught how to have self-hatred for ourselves. Because when we do that, when we forget who we truly are, we are a lot easier to control. We are a lot easier to demand things from us. because we're already in that cycle of kind of a negative downward spiral. But the more that we show ourselves that grace, show ourselves that compassion and love, and being gentle with ourselves, we start to rely less and less on external validation. And we come from internal validation. Are we living within our own personal integrity for us? Not for our family, not for a relationship, not for your job, for us. And that is a very different way to think of things from the centuries that we have been shamed or guilted into, oh, you're not a good parent if you don't do it this way. You're not a good child if you're not, showing up for your parents every moment. Society has put so much shame and guilt on us that we automatically do it ourselves and we don't even realize we're doing it. This month and through the end of the year is asking us to change that dynamic. What happens if we put ourselves first? What happens if we show up authentically to ourselves? Who do we become when we are showing up for the highest and best good of us, of ourselves? Because when we do that, we are showing up for the collective in the highest and best good. Because we all have gifts and purpose here that we wanted to accomplish in this lifetime. And when we're flourishing, it's a lot harder to have us controlled in groupthink, have us stuck in fear and anger. And that is one of the things that is going to come up a lot this month, is the collective is going to really try to push us back into an easy, controlled state. Relationships are going to do the same thing. They're going to try to push us back to the way we were. And it's not working. Those dynamics that we have been playing into no longer fit our life. All right. That is definitely not where I expected to go for this conversation, but I felt as we were talking, it was really, really important. And know that this month is going to shake a whole bunch of things up. Before we close out the live, I'm going to pull a card from the Earth Magic deck. Actually, I'm going to pull a couple cards for us. See where we are. We're going to get 3 cards. The Emergence card with Dragonfly. The Perspective with Milky Way. And Childhood Innocence. Well, this really does nicely kind of sum up what we've been talking about. The Dragonfly is one of those cards or one of those animals that completely goes through a complete metamorphosis, a complete change. It goes from a water creature to a creature of the air. And it can never go back. And that is where we are right now. We are we are moving forward whether we choose to or not. If not, it's gonna be harder because we are still moving forward, but you can cling on to the past if you want. But what opportunities are you letting go if you're stuck in the past, clinging on to the past? Which goes into the childhood and the innocence. What are you trying to romanticize or think of it? Oh, it was so much easier when we were kids. That might be true, but where are you right now? The person you are today is very different than the person you were in childhood. And that's okay. That's talking about growth. That's one of the things that we're here to do and to experience at a soul level is growth. Don't get stuck in the past because we've got so much to explore in this lifetime and our perspectives are changing in this lifetime. And they're going to really be changing this month. What we thought was our perspective at the beginning of September is definitely going to be a different perspective by the end of the month. And that's just possibly one. It could be several perspectives are changing. The Milky Way galaxy is only one galaxy. There's hundreds and thousands of other galaxies out there that we know nothing about. Allow your perception to change. Because the more you do that, the more the dragonfly gets to emerge. And that's where you get to have amazing growth, amazing opportunities coming into your life. It's your choice. But I'm going to choose to have new opportunities. Opportunities that kind of scare me a little bit because I don't know what they are. We do a really great job of saying we want something, we want something, we want something, we want something. And we get really close. We get to like that 98% of having it. And then all of our fears pop up. And we're like, oh, nope, I don't think I want that. It's the challenge of getting through those last 2% so that we really can become the dragonfly. So we really can have that new perspective. And letting go of the past completely. Doesn't mean we have to take everybody, leave everybody that was in their past away. But it might mean our connections with them shift and change. And we get a new perspective of them. That's okay too. All right, that is what I have for you for this live tonight. Please make sure you give yourself a self-hug. Self-hug. You have a private side and a public side, and both sides really could use your support. And thank you for joining me tonight. And I will catch you on the next live Wednesday at 7. And I also have a bunch of other helpful videos for you, so make sure you check them out. And I do private sessions as well. Bye for now.